And she in whose house he was sought to seduce him. Another test for Yusuf alayhi salam. Just when we think he's been given these great things by Allah, he's faced by another test. She in whose house he was sought to seduce him. Who was she? The wife of the Aziz. She closed the doors and said, "Come you." He said, "I seek the refuge of Allah. Indeed, He is my master, who has made good my residence. Indeed, wrongdoers will not succeed." The wife of Aziz tries to seduce Yusuf alayhi salam. And what does he do? He turns away and he says that indeed he is my master. Who is my master? He is referring to Aziz, the finance minister whose home he is in, that he is my master. And here master doesn't mean like a lord, like a god, but master means that he is the one who owns me as a slave. I'm indebted to him, that he brought me here and he has looked after me well in his house. And if I was to do this with you, it would be something wrong. And he says, إِنَّهُ لَا يُفْلِحُ الظَّالِمُونَ. Those who do wrong will never succeed. What is the dhulm, the wrong that he's mentioning here? The wrong is zina, fornication. That if I was to commit a dhulm, meaning to fornicate with you, to do what is wrong with you, then I'll never be successful in my life. And this is true. Where there is fornication, where there is zina, then people will not be successful. There's not a protection of the private parts. And this includes even looking at things that are wrong. So all of these things are things that can stop a person from success in this life. And if someone does become involved in something like this, then they should seek forgiveness from Allah so that the blessings can come in their life again. Maybe wealth is coming, but there's not much blessing in it. وَلَقَدْ هَمَّتْ بِهِ وَهَمَّ بِهَا لَوْلَا أَن رَأَى بُرْهَانَ رَبِّهِ. And she certainly determined to seduce him, and he would have inclined to her had he not seen the proof of his Lord. كَذَلِكَ لِنَصْرِفَ عَنْهُ السُّوءَ وَالْفَحْشَاءَ. Thus that we should avert from him evil and immorality. Indeed, he was of our chosen servants. Here Allah says that she was determined and he would have been determined if not that he saw the proof of his Lord. Meaning it was Allah who gave Yusuf alayhi salam the determination not to commit such an act. What was the burhan? Burhan means evidence. The evidence was that he felt in his heart, this is wrong. He knew in his heart that this is something that is dhulm. It's a wrong thing to do. He says that the wrongdoers not succeed. Yusuf alayhi salam was in his early 20s at this time. A very desirable lady who is of great honor and status. She is seducing him and she's locking all the doors so that nobody has to know what is happening. And for a man, it's a very, very difficult thing to resist. It's not something easy for a man to resist. Yet he does so. And that's because of the hukm, the wisdom, the ilm, the knowledge that Allah has given him. Because he was someone who feared Allah. He was someone who trusted Allah. So Allah, at that point in his life, gave him the burhan that this is something wrong and you're not going to fall for this, whatever this lady is saying. And that protected his honor, protected him at this time. And they both raced to the door, and she tore his shirt from the back. So it's reached the point that he's actually running away from her, and she's running behind him. And she's tearing his shirt to get him to do what she wants to do. And the shirt is obviously torn from the back. And they found her husband at the door. So just then, they probably didn't expect him home at that time, but he happens to be there. And she's standing there, he's standing there. Clearly there's something wrong. The door was locked. His shirt is torn. Immediately she said, "What is the recompense of one who intended evil for your wife, but that he be imprisoned or a painful punishment?" So from trying to seduce him, she's now turned on him immediately. Straight away, she says, what should be his punishment? He tried to seduce me. He should be punished or he should be imprisoned. Showing that she's a very cunning lady, that she's able to immediately think on her feet that I could be caught in a very compromising position, so I better think fast how I'm going to make up for what I've just done. And she's putting a thought into the mind of her husband here by saying that he should be imprisoned. So it starts a thought process in Aziz that this is something that possibly can be done to Yusuf alayhi salam. Yusuf said, "It was she who sought to seduce me." It's so amazing how Yusuf alayhi salam responds. This woman has just tried to seduce him. He's run away from her. She ran after him. She tore his shirt out of desperation. The door opens. The Aziz is there. And she turns on him and says, he tried to seduce me, so you should throw him in prison or punish him severely. At that point, any other person would have wanted to do what? Probably another person would have wanted to punch her in the face, or embarrass her in front of her husband, or scream at the top of their lungs, she is a lying woman. How dare she say this after everything she's just done to me? Don't believe what is coming out of her mouth. But instead, it's amazing that Yusuf alayhi salam says, it was she who sought to seduce me. Even then, he speaks with such honor and such good character. But he does speak up for himself. He does give his own defense. He doesn't just stay quiet and think, oh no, I should just stand quietly and meekly at this point as well. No, he speaks up in his own defense. But he does so in an honorable way. And a witness from her family testified. So someone from the family of the wife of Aziz testifies, if his shirt is torn from the front, then she has told the truth, and he is of the liars. But if his shirt is torn from the back, then she has lied, and he is of the truthful. So they used circumstantial evidence that how is the shirt torn. And there's an indication here that whoever this person was, he's a smart person to come up with this. So when he, her husband, saw his shirt torn from the back, he said, indeed, it is of your plan. Inna kaydakunna azim. Indeed, your plan is great. Who is this speaking? Aziz. So Allah is telling us that Aziz said this about women. What did he say about women? Your plan is great. Meaning the plotting and the planning of women is indeed something great. Is that true? Is the plotting and planning of women something great? Or are women just innocent all the time? Men and women have been given different types of skills or wisdom or intellect, and it depends how they use it. And sometimes the way women think, men cannot even conceive that it's possible to think that way or to plan that way. So Aziz is saying, indeed, your plan is great. And women can use that for positive or for other things. Joseph, ignore this. So the Aziz says to Yusuf alayhi salam, Joseph, ignore this. And he says to his wife, and ask forgiveness for your sin. Indeed, you were of the sinful. So when Aziz sees the shirt is torn from the back, he admits that it is his wife who has committed the mistake. But he doesn't openly admit it. He simply tells Yusuf alayhi salam, just ignore what has happened, and tells his wife, you are the one who has done wrong. وَقَالَ نِسْوَةٌ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ امرأة العزيز تراود فتاها عن نفسه قد شغفها حبا إنا لنراها في ضلال مبين. And women in the city said, the wife of Al-Aziz is seeking to seduce her slave boy. So basically everybody in the city found out what was happening. These things usually don't stay quiet. They usually do get out. And they seem to know the detail that she was the one who was trying to seduce him. They say he has impassioned her with love. Indeed, we see her to be in clear error. So they even comment that she's the one at fault. She's wrong in what has happened. When something becomes known and everybody finds out about it, what does everybody feel that they have to do when they hear the story? Everyone feels we now have to comment and pass a judgment. She was wrong and he was right. She shouldn't have done this and he shouldn't have done that. So everyone feels now we have to make a comment, pass a judgment on this. And for them, this was a big story because she's the wife of Al-Aziz, one of the great people in Egypt. She's well known. So it's something that the people were talking about.